Welcome you all. We are here to discuss about the new chapter talking about the torsion. So, before starting the torsion, what is the necessity of the torsion and what are the kind of input we are trying to find it out, or what are the kind of input we are going to give, and what are the kind of output we are going to get from this discussion. uh, I'll list it out. Before that, I think all of us we have already discussed during the discussion of if any material under the tension kind of load, if it is under tension, there is a extension or the extension occurs in a body. We talked about tension. We talked about compression. If I am applying a load on a body, then how the material is going to compress, and due to the compression how bulging occurs, that we have already discussed. And due to the tension or kind of compression, due to the tension or any kind of compression, if I'll take an inclined plane, we know on an inclined plane there is also not only the normal stress, the shear stress also develops. If so, that means if I'll apply a load, only by applying a load, that means only by applying a load, it may be a tension kind, it may be a compression kind. In all the cases, only neither normal stress, neither nor the shear stress. Instead, we can have all this combination of the stresses may develops within the body, or there are a combination of resultant stresses has to be calculated. Now it is all about what we talked about, like all about the combination of kind of stresses develops within the body due to the application of one kind or all the kind of the loading on the structural element. Also we have discussed various time during the discussion of the shear stress as well. If I'll cut a body, if I'll try to cut a body, so the waist shape of this knife is going to cut due to the shear stress effect. That means the shear stress not only due to the, and again we have discussed during the discussion of the SFD BMD, if I'll apply a load on a body, that means if I'll apply either a transverse load, if I'll apply a transverse load on a body, then this body may be, if I'll apply a transverse load on a body, the body is going to have some or experiences, or the component is going to experience some kind of bending moment as well as the shear stress. That means not only the application of the normal force or the normal kind of loading, if I'll apply a transverse or the load along the line of the fiber, we are the material is going to experience the combination of normal stresses, shear stresses, bending moment. All this kind are going to have, it is going to experience in the similar kind. Now there might be some situation, you know, let's say if I am having a screwdriver, and this screwdriver, if I'll apply this screwdriver, and you can see here I am having a nut and bolt. If I'll apply some, here also I am applying, or here also I am giving some rotation, or it is a rotational kind of load. That means still yet we are talking about tension, compression, cutting, shear stress, like that. Now if I'll apply the load, instead of in terms of a couple, I'll just apply a couple over here. That means it has some it has this screwdriver has some arm, and I'm applying the load at this red end. And if I'm applying this load, then the bolt is going to open or close. Let's say if I'm opening the bolt, or I'm opening the bolt, you can see the I'm opening the bolt, or I'm closing the bolt. That means till yet whatever we have discussed, what the every kind we have discussed only the application of tension, application of compression, application of shear stress. That means a plane is going to cut on a body. Now we have not discussed anything. If I'll apply a couple, then what is going to happen? So if I'll apply a couple kind of load on a body or a structural component, it experiences some kind of coupling as well as if the structure, or I must say, it is creating some kind of torsion, is nothing but one kind of coupling effect or coupling load is applied on a body. But at the same time, it associated with the mostly in the most of the time whenever we talked about torsion, whenever we experience or any structural component experience torsion, it is associated with some power. So we know about the basic idea or basic discussion, or sorry, basic components. In generally, the components of the structural components are utilized or named as like rod, beam, and shaft in a common sense. Or sometimes that shafts are also called as axle based on the kind of loading the kind of load they can able to take. A rod, beam, and shaft, when I compare, I can compare in terms of their also we have discussed during the discussion of the shear force and bending moment. When I talked about what is beam. So still here I am just talking about informal, instead of that what is rod, what is beam, and what is shaft. If I'll say in terms of load carrying capacity, also they have been classified. What is the load carrying capacity? The rods can able to take the axial load. The beams can take axial load as well as the rotation, because they are under bending. And the shafts, they are only not only take the axial load, but it is axial load plus bending moment, plus they can also carry some torque. What again the torque? If I'll say, once I have shown one more case I can show you. It's looking like it's a straw. I am just added 3 different straws. Here one and another one. I have just pushed one straw inside another. 3 different small pieces of straw. And you can see this straw is looking like just a hollow shaft. It is nothing but a hollow straw, and I have pushed one straw against the other one. If I want to make some kind of twisting moment, I can use a plus, or I can do some by hand also. I can make some twisting moment on that. So it will be useful later on. Just see this one. So at the end of this discussion, we need the use of this. Now these are the basic fundamentals or ideas of the torsion. When I am saying torsion, these are the current or kind of torsion, or these are the possible application, and this is the necessity. Or you can say, or you can ask, or we can also understand in this form. That means once I can apply the load in terms of normal, or you can say tensile load, compressive load, and both the tensile load, compressive load, and the cutting force, that means the shear force, all this we have discussed. Now we are talking about a couple, and that couple creates one kind of, not only that it termed as a torsion, but also it creates another kind of stress. And the torsion, due to torsion, the structure or structural component may be under shear stress. That means due to the application of normal load on a body, it will experience a tensile or normal stress, and on an inclined plane on the same body, it can experience both normal and shear stress. But if I'll apply a torsion on a body, then it will create pure, or it may create the stress within the body is nothing but the torsion, or sorry, shear stress. Now to just elaborate that, if I know the torsion, or if I want to understand the torsion, if I understand the torsion, then what will happen? Now these are the some point which will be useful, or which will necessary to or you can predict, or we can evaluate. These are the following points we can evaluate, or it is necessary when I know the torsion, or you can utilizing the torsion, we can do all this kind of analysis. Like explain the torque diagram for a shaft, explain the structural behavior of members subjected to torque, derive and explain the, what are the points we are going to discuss about here. Now derive and as well as explain the torsion basic equation for axisymmetric section. Design shaft subjected to, this is the basic idea which will give us the idea. This is the basic understanding. The torsion will give us the basic understanding for any shaft design, or in what kind of shaft, or which kind of shaft, what kind of load, and how we will evaluate. All these points can be clarified by knowing this torsion. This is the importance, and these are the points which will match, or which will complete, or which will give you a complete idea about. These are the points if I know the torsion. Calculate the stresses in the component of the composite shaft. although it can be extended, but we are not going to discuss about the composite shaft here. Helps in design different coupling of the shaft. Yes, we'll just utilize basically it will talk about the flange coupling, but I'll talk about little bit the flange as well. But we will simple torsion equation for the shaft we'll understand, and how the shear stress can be calculated we can understand, and by utilizing these two, all the other kind or all the other points which has been discussed here can be obtained by utilizing the same. Now, in this context, next is I have shown some kind of torsion and their application. You have seen this kind of application earlier. You have already seen this kind of application, this is a it is a digger, or normally it is utilized where with the boring or any construction site you can have similar kind of components are attached. You can see you might have seen this kind of application which is under the torsion. When some digging operation will be there during the digging operation, so it has to be rotated a constant speed or a variable speed. So based on the speed also, or based on the power, or based on the kind of material, it is under the twisting moment every time. So this is one more example which has been shown where this torsion or torque may come into the picture. One more case, like here it is a it is showing a axle utilized in truck or any motorbike, or you can see the similar kind of structural, like if I am showing here just to twist. Well, I'll twist it. You can easily see there is a twisting, like whatever it is squeezed. So this if it is a hollow shaft, it is going to be, or if it is also a solid shaft, exactly you may not see so much of twisting, but in a hollow shaft you can easily see this twisting of that. So this twisting moment is a failed kind of structure, but these are the application it has been shown. So these are the kind of normal application of the torsion or normal utilization of the torsion, and why we understand or why we need to understand the torsion, and what are the points need to be calculated for the torsion. That means if I am digging you can see, if I am digging a area or the soil, if it is too hard, then the torque or the material has to resist so much of resistance, and during this, because it is utilizing, you see these cutters has to have a good amount of shear stress, or the capabilities of the shear stress to dig this or to go on digging on this the whole soil. And if it is a little bit more you can say instead of a hard soil, if it is a soft soil, then it can easily dig, but it is possible that it will always having a lot of fluidity. If there is fluidity is there, then you need a heavy power to rotate that, due to the viscosity. A heavy or soil is going to be flow due to the, that means in any way you need a extra some amount of power in higher form or lower form. If I need a higher form of the power with a low shear stress, and lower form of the shear stress with higher form of power, in somehow you have to balance, or you have to check the balance part of how to design this whole shaft. So all this kind we can understand how you need to calculate. Then if I want to know the power, then what is the power? In order to find out the power, then I need to know the torque. If I need to know the torque, then how can I find out the torque? If I know the torque, then what are the input parameters are going to affect the torque also can be discussed during the discussion, or this by end of this discussion we can understand. Here also some more application has been shown here. You can see it's a just a plan view of a four-wheeler vehicle, and here you can see it is just the shaft which is from the driving to driven. It has been one shaft. You can see a blue color shaft is shown. These axles are attached with this shaft, and this shaft is trying to pull the vehicle, and this is the shaft by which the power transmits to here, and it is trying to pull the vehicle, four-wheeler vehicle with power in two drive vehicle, four cross four, 2x2, you might have heard about these terms. And based on the two drive or 2x2 drive or 4x4 drive, based on that the power will be engaged, or where the which wheels are the more powerful, and where this power transmission, as I told you earlier, the beam, rod and shafts, they are based on, are classified based on their loading capability or based on load. One can take axial load, one can take axial as well as bending, or axial as well as the rotation, and the third one, all these two plus it can transmit power. When it one point to other point, if I want to transmit the power, then the power transmission, those the component who can transmit the power including the other loading are called as the shaft. And in order to design a shaft, we need to have an idea how to evaluate the torque or torsion of that shaft. It is one of the component, or you can say one of the basic input parameter for the shaft design. Now now we are, this discussion will help us to find out the torsion, and finally it will be helpful for us to understand the final one. That means when we go for the design of machine element, it will help us or help you to understand how to link. Now also, as I said, it is taking axial load. We talked about already during the shear force bending moment diagram. We talked about discussion about the transverse loading. At that time also I have a small discussion about if the instead of a perpendicular load, if I am having a angular load, that angular load will have two component, one is axial and one is perpendicular. So perpendicular, when we are calculating the perpendicular, we are drawing the corresponding shear force and bending moment diagram for that. And the axial also, you can draw the horizontal bending moment diagram, and horizontal shear force diagram also can be done. Similarly here, that means in this particular chapter we are going to discuss about the torsion only, how the torsion can be evaluated, and what is the basic characteristic equation can be evaluated, and what are the 1-2 condition, based on that the torsion will be calculated, and the corresponding shear stress, what is the maximum shear stress value, will be evaluated by the utilizing the torsion. So some of the cases of the torsion extra example has been shown. You can easily see one pump is attached with the motor. At that time it is necessary to know or understand the torsion part. Similarly, a driller has been shown here. Any drill design or drill bit design, it necessary to understand that. So this is the primary effect constant in the design drive shaft used in vehicle and machinery. Any machinery you will see. So the torsion will give you the, and for this reason it is important to able to determine the stresses, deformation that occurs in the shaft under the torsional load. Now one more case, this kind of coupling you might have seen, some of the two pipes joined with each other. When the pipes are in static condition, only taking water from other side, you might have seen this kind of, or this is the assembly of two different flanges. This is called flange. This is nothing but the this outer part. This is the flange. And you might have some idea about the flange. This flange may be protective type flange or may not be. So one protective type of flange, that means two shafts of same or different diameter can be joined with each other by utilizing a connection or by utilizing a joint, and that is, or by utilizing a coupling. That coupling is and at that time the torque plays a bigger role over there. So at that connection or joints or all this transmission of the power, so we must have to have an idea about the torque and the torque capability of that particular element. So one protective flange has been shown, a drawing has been shown here. As you can see two different shafts with two different flanges, and this is nothing but the protection part. It has been shown. This is the protective, or which part came out of that is going to protect to what. Now if hand comes in between, so it will give some kind of protection to that. So the bolts are within the protection. This bolt, knot and bolts are within the protection. If it is in a high speed, at the motion at the high speed, so it should be, it gives some, it should able or capable to give that protection to that. Now in this context, some of the examples what I have already told, I just show over here. That means already I have discussed about this torsion or torsional, or how the torsion, we talked about the torsion. That means a knot, when it is, we are going to tie it using a, when a knot you are going to tie it using a bolt. So a torsion is going to created, and that torsion can be calculated by how you are going to calculate. So for this instance, when you turn a screwdriver as shown in this figure, your hand applies a torque T and the handle and the twist of the rod on the screwdriver. Torsion refers to the twisting. How you define the torsion? You can easily define. Torsion refers to the twisting of a straight bar when it is loaded by the moments. Moments are, I just told about the couple, it is going to create a coupling load, and due to coupling load also torsion may create within the bar, and that tends to produce a rotation about the longitudinal axis of the bar. That means if I am rotating this, and this is the rod, it's the longitudinal bar. If I am going on giving a couple type of load, if it is twist under, or if it is going to twist, that twist, and it is giving a twist kind of behavior onto that. So that tend along its length, it is going to twist. So that is nothing but the torque. So what is torsion? Now torsion refers to the twisting moment or twisting of a straight bar. It may be straight bar, it may be curved bar, but here our discussion is, it is not always true that in industry you will have only always a straight bar. Due to some application, or due to after the over the period of application, the straight bar may be slowly bend. That may be bend bar, and due to bending, it the instability created. So here we are taking a ideal condition. We are discussing for a ideal condition when everything is straight. That means initial figures which I have shown you. So we are considering these are, if it is a huge length of that cutter I have shown, if it is a huge length, then there is a chance of they may imbalance, that the imbalance may create due to the motion. And you if I can give you example, one example, if you have seen the ceiling fans which are having a bigger long rod, and if it start rotating about its own axis, so sometime the rod from where, although the rod which is supporting the fan, if it is not under the rotation, but it is only in static condition, sometime that also started a revolve oscillation of that. So that may create or increase the structural balance, or it will affect the structural characteristic, but that we are not considering over here. We are considering a simple torsion, which is a torsion of a straight bar. It may be a long shaft, it may be a short shaft, and again long and short based on its a relative torque. We are here to discuss about twisting moment applied on a structural component, and that component may be under, or that component is initially straight and it will be remain straight, and how we are evaluating those points, there are some assumptions, we will discuss about that. Now the coupling, as I said, here one shaft has been shown, where you can see there are two different points, and these are key points from where you can rotate the body, and this P1 and P2 a set of load which creates the couple, and about its own axis of the bar it has been shown. One is axis of the bar and one is the axis of the shaft. One is axis of the bar on the bar where you are applying the load, and one other case is the axis of the shaft. These are the idealized case. That means here the torque is T1 is P1 D1, because torque is nothing but the force into perpendicular distance. Like bending moment, you are calculating force into perpendicular distance, and the first pair consists of P1 and acting near the midpoint of the bar, and the second one is P2 at the end, and the forces or the torques are going to created like the first figure, and the second figure is easily showing where are the torques are going to create. Each pair forces form, or each pair of forces form a couple, and that tends to twist the bar about its longitudinal axis. The moment of couple is equal to the product of the moment of the couple, means this is the moment of the couple is equal to the product of one of the force and the perpendicular distance, as just now we have discussed, and the unit of the torque is Newton meter. In SI unit we are writing Newton meter. So all this, any kind or every kind, whenever the as it has been shown for the fixed beam or fixed beam kind of, both side can be fixed. or both side can be pinned. All this kind of situation, or something somewhere in between you might have some more. Also, if you have a pin joint in between to get a propped cantilever kind, or a cantilever with a support, or a overhang kind, all this kind or every kind boundary condition may have some input, but here we are talking about only the ideal cases, and statically determinate cases we are going to discuss. Now it's so then I can show you some the before deformation. Let's say if I'm considering a shaft is looking like this, and if I'll take the area, if I'll distribute the area like the, if I'll draw the lines, it is looking like every part, or a individual tiny part is looking like a small rectangle, or a square, you can say. Is a before deformation, and after deformation says, that means applying after the application of the torque, you can see easily these lines which are perpendicular to the ends, now they have been twisted a bit. The circles remain circle. All these circles which has been earlier a number of concentric circles which has been seen, they are remain circle, but the longitudinal line which has been lines are become twisted already. And the radial lines again remain straight. Whatever the radial lines earlier here, that radial lines are not going to change before the deformation, and after the deformation the radial lines are not going to change, only the longitudinal lines are, or the upper surface part is going to twisted. That means there is a chance a part will come out of that, the upper part may slip over the other part, and it may come out by slicing, like peeling up. If I am using a peeling tool, so it will peeling up like on from the potato, or from some other the similar kind. If I am using this torque, may trying to peeling up this object, or peeling up a surface from the original one or the parental one. But the above these circles are not going to change any kind of their dimension or something. It is not. You can see, or I can prove. I can show you some other way. It will be more visualized. If I want to show you, I'll show you just now. When the torque is applied, the longitudinal grid lines, whatever I have just now discussed, it is already there. Grid lines originally marked on the shaft tends to distort into helix, and that intersects the circles at equal angles. Also, the cross section of the shaft remains flat, and they do not warp or bulge or into out. The bulging and the warping of the surface is not considered in this analysis. If so, then the analysis will different. The radial lines remain straight and rotate during the deformation. And I can show you in this form. You can see here a particular line. If I will consider the before deformation, the particular line which is shown here, this is the line before deformation, and that line has been changed to this point after the deformation. That means the line which was earlier here, now the line has been come here, and I am considering, I have just exaggerated that line. It has been shown like this, a slice of the cake. Likewise, I have taken the slice of the cake, and this line has been changed, and this you can draw in this form. I think I can able to make you understand what exactly it is trying to show. And this is the twist angle. It is saying that the angle here, the angle, this angle, which angle we are talking about, this angle, this is the twist angle. Here one angle, and here also another angle. That means within the radial line there is angle, and due to the lines above the surface, and they makes a line, let's say that is phi and this is theta, or this is phi or that is theta. Here it has been shown this angle, that means this is the angle between the lines, is phi. The angle of twist phi x increase as x increases. What does it mean that x increases? This phi x, the value of the, that means how much the deformation you are considering based on that. One is deformed plane, and another is the undeformed condition. And deformed, this is the deformed plane, and this is the undeformed plane. If the torque is along this direction, that means this line is twisting to or twisted up to this point. As I am going on to the central point or the end point, this angle is going to very small, or the distance between the lines or the points are very small or close to each other. It is saying, that's what it is saying, provided the angle of twist is small, then the length of the shaft and radius will be practically unchanged. This also happens in a real life situation as well. To just to show or to exaggerate the same thing or to visualize the thing, I am just showing one more figure here which can give you a better idea. That means earlier when there was undeformed shape, if I'll consider it is a parallelogram, now you can see the first figure and the second figure, the D line which is earlier joined to E, now this E has been converted after the torque applied T. If I'll apply once I apply the T like this way, if I'll apply the T, at the time I am trying to rotate the T, or at the time I am trying to rotate the shaft, whole shaft, the point here E has been shifted to E prime. I think it can be, you can now visualize how it is happening. That means the slicing of, that means one shaft, I have just inserted one in other one, you can see. So just it is trying to slash over another one, just rotating inside that. There are another two has been inserted with each other. So I'll come to that. Now to derive this torsion equation, the basic assumptions, what are the basic assumptions we have made, as we have taken the basic assumption for the strength of material approach when we have started at the initial classes, the same, but just to have some one or two modification. The material of the shaft is homogeneous and isotropic, what we are already doing, and perfectly elastic. If it is elastic, then it has to obey the Hooke's law. That means stress is directly proportional to the strain. Which stress? Earlier we are considering the sigma is directly proportional to epsilon. That means stress is directly proportional to the strain. Here instead of the stress, normal stress, we will have shear stress will be proportional to, has to proportional with the shear strain. The twisting couple act in transverse plane only. We are considering on the transverse plane, the perpendicular, not the longitudinal line. It is perpendicular to the longitudinal line, transverse plane. It is trying to twist in that form. And if I'll apply in transverse plane, then only along the longitudinal line there will be a twist is going to create. And all the radii remain straight after the torsion. We have already discussed. That means all the radii I am talking about, already I have drawn all the radii when I am taking all the radii before the deformation, and after the deformation there is no change in radial line. Parallel planes normal to the axis do not warp or distort after the torsion. And a cross section at any axial length, that means the cross section at any axial length, wherever the axial length, if I'll go on, if this is the shaft and this is the axial length, and if I'll consider every step if I'll get, then the cross section, that means all the diameters of the cross section rotate through the same angle. As the cross section is looking like rigid, that is there is no distorted, the cross section is not going to distorted. So these are the points has to be taken care, or these are the assumptions has been made before going to the torsional equation. Here one example, just now whatever we have discussed, that means the radial line we are talking about, no, it is showing, I show some example like before deformation, after deformation. I have shown some example like it is not going to change. That means here it has been shown one radial angle, and in order to show the radial angle I am showing a cross sectional view. In order to show the, this is, if I'll talk about the radial line, that means if a shaft and it is going to having some torsion, if it is under the torsion, then the cross sectional view has been shown, and the cross sectional view, the radius is r, and initial length or the angle with after and before, that means after and before deformation, it has been pointed out as A and B, and this is the distance is r. I think it is clarified now. When we will go to the next, it can be easily obtained, or you can easily visualize. Now the arc length, if I want to find it out, what is the arc length? Now AB is the arc length. Arc length is equal to r into phi, I can explain the arc length is equal to r into phi. Now the similar thing, the length line what I had talked about. Now this also, this is AB is equal to r into phi. This phi is the radial line or the angle created within the radius, and this theta is due to the length of the line. This is the theta, it has been taken as the theta, and this radial line has been taken as the phi. Is that clear? Now that can be this phi or gamma can be, or sorry, theta can be written as, that theta can be written as AB is equal to L into gamma. Here it has been shown as the, this distance has been, or this angle has been taken as the gamma. So one change in the length from one along the length one point to other point, one is the radial line changes. There are the same when this line has been, or this line from initially here to here, this line is not only changing along along its radial line, also along its surface also there is a change, and these two angles are same. A into B is the same. I can calculate the A into B in terms of length, or I can calculate A into B, or sorry, A to B in terms of radius. This two kind of AB. However, the AB is the same for both the cases. That means R phi has to be equal to L gamma. Now into do so, I can write R gamma max is equal to, that means R phi is equal to L gamma. So gamma max has to be R phi by L. I think it is clear. There should not be any confusion on that. This AB I can calculate from the radial side. This AB I can calculate from the length side. I have calculated, I have expressed that. Then I have equated, since AB is both are same, then R phi has to be L gamma. So I just expressed this gamma max. What should be the condition at which the gamma max value? Then the gamma max value has to be R phi divided by L. Now this is the equation number 1 we are expressing. Now the next part, what is the next part? Here it has been shown. That means the shear stress, if I will calculate the shear, that means one plane is rotating or slipping over another plane. When there is a slipping of the plane, then you see, if this radial value, that means if the gamma max is equal to R phi by L, or this gamma max or the shear strain or this angle will be directly proportional to the R. If I am going on increasing the R, this value is going to increase. If I am going on decreasing the R, this value is decreasing. So shear stress, if it is the shear strain, if I will take this as the shear strain, if I will multiply with the G, I can get the shear stress. And since the shear strain is directly proportional to the R, so automatically the shear stress will also be dependent on the R. So based on that, now it has been the tau max can be written as, or the shear, once I get the strain, I can get the stress by multiplying its the property, and this is nothing but the rigidity modulus. So from here I can plot the normal, what is this rho instead of R? Now any point in between the radial line has been taken as rho. So rho to this rho from varies from 0 to R. This is also expression of the R has been shown in terms of rho instead of R. The final length or the final radial length is R. However, in between any point it has been considered as rho. So this is equation number 2. Once I get the strain, I can get the stress just by multiplying the property constant, because it is, we know it is obeys the Hooke's law. So this is the proportionality constant. So we since we have taken it the Hooke's law, so tau is directly proportional to gamma. So tau is equal to proportionality constant. Here it has been utilized as the G into gamma, and gamma we got R phi by L. Since this is gamma instead of gamma, it is gamma max. So we can write tau instead of tau, we can write tau max. So these are the two equations. One relation we got, tau max is equal to G into R phi by L, or you can write, once I get the stress, I can find out the torque. Torque can be written. I just want to connect this torque, because all this drama has been occurred due to the application of external torque. due to the external application of the torque, there is a change in arc length. The arc length has been evaluated in radial form and the length form. Now the radial form of the length form has to be equal because it is A to B, and that A to B has been equated to find out the strain. Once I get the strain, I can calculate the stress. Once I get the stress, and if I multiply its area, I can get the force into perpendicular distance, I can get the torque. That's what it has been expressed over here. So now that if a small area has been considered on this cross section is the small area, a small area strip of the area has been considered, so that can be expressed in further sorry, that can be expressed further like dA is equal to 2 pi rho d rho. That means rho is equal to r. As I said, rho, it has been represented rho in between 0 to r, it is rho. It is 0 when it is 0, rho is 0. When it is r, rho is equal to r. But how this dA is equal to 2 pi r? If I have taken a strip over here, that strip can be, if I open that strip, it is nothing but the 2 pi r. If it is nothing but, if I will take, it is 2 pi r, because the whole perimeter is 2 pi r. Instead of r, I will have rho. So 2 pi rho into this is the length of the strip is 2 pi rho, and the, because it is rectangle, if I'll open it, so it will open a rectangle. So if I'll the whole open, if I'm opening this rectangle, so that is 2 pi rho, its length into its thickness. Thickness is how much? Now thickness is d rho, it is given. So 2 pi, so dA is equal to, because I need, if I know the stress, I need the area to multiply. You may ask that directly we can put the total area. We do not know what is the total area, so we will take a small elemental area, and that elemental area has been taken as a strip, and that strip has been opened as a rectangle, and we have calculated this as a 2 pi rho d rho. Now if I will put this now to calculate the torque, because I am interested to calculate the torque, I am not interested to calculate all this, because it is really have some relation with the torque. For a bar in pure torsion, the total angle of twist phi equal to the rate of, so one thing we got, T stress, we put that equation there, one equation we got, tau max in terms of tau max. Once I got the tau max, I'll just put into torque. T is equal to tau max into area into the arm length. Arm length is nothing but the r we are considering, the maximum. So we'll come to that. We put that equation there. Now we go further. For a bar in pure torsion, the total angle of twist, the angle of twist we are talking about, the total angle of twist, a bar with this total angle of twist, the phi we are talking about, this phi it is talking about, this phi is pure torsional, and the angle of twist phi equal to the rate of twist times of the length of the bar. We took as a gamma, which has been shown for the small angle theta, gamma is equal to same, so it has been taken as theta into L. So this is the theta angle, and phi is equal to theta into L. I believe it is clear. For a pure torsion, the total angle of twist, that means total angle of twist, the radial line which has been shifted from here to here or here to here, anyway, so whatever the equal to the twist of the rate of twist, that means the rate of twist, the angle of twist is theta, the rate of twist times the length of the bar. So this phi has to give theta into L. The phi has to be equal to theta into L. This is nothing but the arc length we are talking about. Now whatever we calculate the torque here under the area, if I will integrate, so 2 pi rho into d rho will give the area. So T is the, or sorry, tau is the stress, and this is the arm length. So now putting this value 2 pi rho g rho theta, and what, where from this g rho and all come? Because tau max we got in terms of g into, just now we discussed about that, the equation number 1, tau max is equal to g phi L or g theta by L, whatever we wrote, from there we can write tau is equal to, that means the earlier equation what we have written in form of this tau max in form. If I'll go to that equation, it will be more easy to understand. Let's see, this is G is equal to R phi by L, and phi I now got theta into L. Now putting this into phi in terms of theta into L, so I got the L will be cancelled, so I'll get 2 pi rho G rho theta into rho delta. So now by just multiplying this all, I got 2 pi G theta I have taken out, because 2 pi is constant, G is constant for any material, the rigidity modulus is not going to change, and theta is also constant. The term is RQ or the theta q, sorry, rho q. Rho is the variable point within the radial line, so that is going to change. If I'll go on integrating some from 0 to r, so I'll get r square, sorry, r to the power 4 by 4. So final T I got pi by 2 G theta into R4, and that is I took that equation. One is tau max in form of tau max, second is in terms of T we got. Now putting this equation A and B, or the equation, sorry, this is A, and the equation number 2 you left it, we are going to utilize all this equation to form the final torsional equation. Now what polar moment of inertia says, I think most of you know what is polar moment of inertia. It has been shown that distance of a small elemental area at a distance of rho. Rho, as I said, it is a variable length, has been taken as rho, or it can be taken as r. Now r square dA, J is equal to r square dA over the integrating over the area. So by putting these values, instead of rho square dA, it is the strip we are talking about, the strip area which has been shown d rho thickness. If I put that area here, so 2 pi rho into rho, 2 pi rho, that area dA, if I'll write 2 pi rho into d rho is the thickness, 2 pi rho is the length. So the rho square dA place, at the place of dA we are putting 2 pi rho d rho into rho square. We can get J is equal to 2 pi rho q d rho and 2 pi r4 by 4 or pi r by 4. J is equal to pi r by 4 or pi d square by 32. If I'll put r is equal to d by 2, and if I'll go on doing so, to the power 4, pi d4 by 32 will get pi d4 by 32. So 4 times 2, 2 into 2 into 2 into 2, so 2 into 2, 4 into 2, 8 into 2, 16, another 2 is there already, so pi d4 by 32. We can get in terms of radius, or we can get in terms of diameter, whichever is possible or whichever is useful for you, you can do. Or we know to find out polar moment of inertia, Ixx, Iyy, we calculate pi d4 by 64, pi d4 by 64, we just add it, so pi d4 by 32 we also can get in that form. Now by taking A and B, using A and B, we can write directly the polar moment of inertia is equal to T is equal to jg theta, because we got in form of instead of J, we got in a form of pi by r or something like that we got. By putting this equation, we will get T jg theta, and that is equation number 3. So T we got T jg theta, and since phi is equal to theta into L, now putting this equation, so theta is equal to phi by L. So now expressing this equation number 4, now using equation 3 and 4, we can write by equating 3 and 4. At the place of theta, we will just write phi by L. Now so the T by J is equal to G phi by L, one equation, one part of the equation we got. Similarly, also we can write, what we can write now, phi is equal to theta into L or TL by Gj. Phi is equal to theta into L, because theta we got how much, phi by L, so phi we got TL by Gj also can be written. So that is the equation. That means all these steps has been shown how we can represent the property. This is the property matrix, this is the geometry, it is associated with the geometry, it is associated with the geometry, and this is the externally applied load. Any deformation which occurs within the body can be extended or can be established by application of the load, external load. Either that load can be a moment, or the load can be a perpendicular load or transverse load or axial load or a torque that can be extended or established by using this. Now we know that whatever the equation we got earlier, just extending the from equation number 2. Now putting this equation by using this value about the phi and theta, we can write tau max is equal to TR by J using equation number 6. So we got one case, we got T by J is equal to G phi by L. Now we got T by J is equal to tau by R. So now we can express all this equation number 7 and 5. So T by J is equal to tau by R is equal to G phi by L. This is the characteristic torsion equation, or if any external torque will be applied on a body or a shaft, if we know its radius, and if we know its length, if we know its angle of twist, if we know its polar moment of inertia, we can establish, or any one of them is unknown, or by any one of them known or some of them are unknown, we can utilize this equation for the this is also called as the characteristic equation of the torque for a circular shaft, as we started with that, with the determinate condition. Again, it's all these conditions we have taken. It has to obey Hooke's law, it has to obey all these conditions, whatever the minimum condition it has to obey, or the basic condition it has to obey. So based on that, we got the final form of the torque equation. Now I am extending little bit the same. If it is a solid shaft, whatever we have discussed, it is for the hollow shaft. If I'll just multiply in the hollow shaft, instead of pi r by 4, or pi r 4 by 2, I'll just I can extend the same thing by r14 d outer 4 minus d inner 4, or in terms of tau max is equal to T r1 by j, or in terms of tau max can be written as 16 T by pi d cube by just opening that. And these are the condition where it has been for the maximum shear stress for the case of, you can say, d outer, d inner, or you can say maximum diameter or outer diameter is capital D and inner diameter is small d. That way also can be expressed the maximum shear stress and the torque can be established. Maximum shear stress and the torque can have a relation with respect to their diameter of the shaft. Now as we discussed, the torsion basically utilizes the or torsion is for a shaft, and shaft is utilized for the power transmission. When there is a power transmission, it transmits a torque from one point to other point. Shafts are the medium to transmit power from one point to another point of application, and that creates that necessitates the analysis of torque. And that can be written as P is equal to T into omega, and omega is the cyclic frequency we know, and by just expressing all this 2 pi n by 60 and 2 pi nt by 60. Now P is the power transmitted, T is the torque applied, cyclic frequency, N is the revolution per minute. Now torsion of the, if just I'll explain whatever we have explained for the circular shaft, and the throughout the diameter is same, or the diameter is equal diameter, we have to consider as the diameters of the cross sectional area is not changing. We started with that application. If so, let's say a shaft having the dimension or diameter is going to change throughout the length, then how to start? Here it has been said, just the same thing has been extended, it's not much on that. The same expression can be, let's say one side is r plus r, one side, that means decreasing side and increasing side, by considering the for a taper uniformly from one end to other end. It is for as shown in the figure here. That means I am considering a shaft which is tapering from one end to other end. That means r plus r to r minus r, and this is 2r has been shown. I think a elemental area at a distance of x is delta x has been considered, and that elemental area is r minus r prime. This is r minus r plus what is the distance or what is the value of this. Now this is 2r, because the total here it is for a whole length, the variation is for a whole length. For L, the difference between them is 2r prime. For a whole length L, this is a 2r prime. For x length, it is 2, or for 1, for you can say for 1 it is 2r prime by L. For x it is 2r prime by L into x. So this is the variation, or this is the strip we are talking about, what should be the radius of that. I believe this is clear how you are considering, because I am considering from the side of the tapering side or the lowering end side. From there it has been considered, and the difference between them has been considered as a 2r prime. I think you all of you can able to calculate. If it is r prime, it is r minus prime. So the r plus and r minus will be cancelled. R plus or r minus, if it is if you will just add and averaging it, so you may get this one. So now the radius of the shaft, as it has been at a distance of x at the smaller end, how it is calculated I have already discussed. Now the twist of the small angle, we know the twist will Tx or Tr by Gj, as we are considering the delta x from the small end. So T into delta x by Gj, by putting this all form, the Gj form, that means J is a polar moment of inertia. By opening the polar moment of inertia, we can get the values of the delta x to its of the small, or the final one by integrating throughout 0 to L, you can find the angle of twist. So basically what we understand, the major point, if I'll apply a torque, then what we have discussed, one is a shear stress. It is going to find out, or we need to calculate the shear stress. We need to calculate the theta, because the angle of twist of along the length, there are two change of angle we have seen. The radial line changes, that is phi we are considering, and the length, along the length, that is also changing from one point to other point. That means basically the angle of twist, as the angle of twist increases, so there is, you need the structure or structural component or the shaft has to be strong enough to resist that angle of twist, because if it will unable to resist the angle of twist, the shaft may try to slip it out. So based on that, two major categories of the shafts are analyzed in generally, and that is talked as shaft in series and shaft in parallel. What you studied in the springs in series and springs in parallel, the similar kind of concept also used in shaft in series and shaft in parallel. What is that? When two shafts, how you will named as shafts in series and parallel? To, in order to differentiate, it has been subscripted by 1 and 2, that means shaft 1 and shaft 2. If that two shafts are series or parallel, how we will define? Now shafts in series mean two shafts are joined in such a way that means here you can see, as I have shown you earlier, that means one, as I said, it is just one pipe or one straw I have pushed inside other one. So when two shafts joined in such a way that they are under same amount of the torque, physically the state can be expressed mathematically as following lines. One shaft, but one shaft is series wise or joined with each other. If I'll apply one torque, that torque is going to pass. That means both the shaft experience the same torque. If they experience the same torque, then we know T by J is equal to tau by R. By putting this equation, T by J is equal to tau by R. Also it can be termed as, because always either we can find it out in terms of tau or in terms of theta. Our always motto to find out the maximum shear stress or the angle of twist. So mostly the torque will help you to analyze not only the torque, how much torque, but how much the angle of twist has to be designed. Any shaft, if it is transmits any power, so it should not a critical point is the critical parameter is the angle of twist, and the next critical parameter is its shear stress. And in order to maintain or in order to design, we need to take care of its length of the shaft. So the total theta, if in shaft in series, that means two shafts in series, the total theta will occur, or the total angle of distortion will occur, individual angle of twist of the shafts. So the theta is the sum of the angle of twist in both the shafts. So shaft in parallel, just one step ahead, when the shafts in parallel, that means if I can show you in this form, let's say this is a shaft and this is another shaft. These two shafts are associated with each other in another, they have been joined, and one more shaft is, let's say in this form, if I'll say these two shafts, you can see these two shafts have been joined in such a way that one more shaft or something like that is join in such a way that one more shaft is or one more joint is here. So now this condition, if if these two at a time they are rotating, if these two is at a time they are rotating, you can see this shaft can be parallel or series. They can parallel, they can be in parallel, and above I can join one more case and they are rotating. The total torque associated the T1 individually it will take and the T2 individually, like the theta 1 individually it is taken and theta 2 in a series. Similarly T1 will be taken care differently and the T2 will be differently. So total torque in this earlier case, the total torque is same in both shaft. Here the total torque is the individual taken or shared by the individual shaft. And the theta will be again can be written as TL by, because total length is same, it has been taken as total length is same. In the case of series the length may be different. As the length different, theta may different, because theta is directly, or you can see the torque is directly proportional to theta, torque is inversely proportional to L. You can see easily from here. Now these are the two formulas which are being utilized, and we will solve some problem related to that, relevant to all this. And that means these are the critical parameters when we are discussing about the torque. The four parameters are critical. Or the first equation, the characteristic equation of the torque is T by J is equal to G theta by T by J is equal to tau by R is equal to G theta by L or G phi by L. And angle of twist is the critical parameter. Angle of twist, length of the shaft, and the angle of twist, length of the shaft, and the applied torque is the basic parameters to requires to design of any shaft or to design of any torque capability. In order to find out the torque capability, we can start with the tau max R, maximum shear stress it can able to resist. And we got to know the maximum shear stress when I am saying tau max is equal to 16 d by pi dq, or in terms of R, or in terms of radius, or in terms of diameter. I have already discussed about that. So all this about the torsion, and what is torsion, how you implement the torsion, what are the examples of the torsion we have discussed. We also discussed how to evaluate the characteristic equation of the torsion. We also discussed about the characteristic equation of the torsion. We talked about how to evaluate individual point of the torsion. Individual point means individually how to evaluate if there is a shaft is having, instead of the cross section, constant cross section, if it is going on or decreasing. And the third one we discussed if it is a parallel shaft and rectangular shaft. By saying this much, I can just extend a few line. If it is a non-circular shaft, then just show to how, if it is a non-circular shaft, you can easily see how these figures you give you a glimpse of that. I am not discussing much on that. Non-circular, though it is not within our discussion module, but I am just showing to show you, or to discuss about, to have a visualization. If it is a non-circular shaft, and there are some shaft they are non-circular as well. If there are non-circular shaft, then what are the points has to be taken care for their analysis. You can easily see the non-circular shaft, the cross section is no more the same what in case of circle we got, because and the stresses which are going to develop, or the cross section it is going to develop, that cross section is warping of the cross section basically happens for the non-circular shaft, which creates all these issues, or which creates the shear stress has to be calculated very carefully for the design of the non-circular type of shaft. And the warping of the surface has to be taken care. All these points has to be need to be necessarily pointed out before the discussion of. So we talked about torsional equation, and how the torsional equation, what is the torsional equation, what are the assumptions to get the torsion equation, and the characteristic torsion equation for the corresponding solid shaft, and the hollow shaft, the maximum shear stress, and the shaft having the cross section is decreasing, tapering diameter and the shafts in series and parallel. By saying this much, I am closing my discussion. Thank you.